Session of today. Yes. And now I want the complete silence in my class. Once again, good afternoon to one and all present here. One and all the students of class 12A and 12B. And today, previously, I have already told, today I want to discuss about figures of speech. Because figures of speech is one of the most important part and segment of literature. So it is very important to discuss with you all. What is figures of speech? Types of figures of speech? Simile, metaphor, personification, apostrophe. There are the different types of figures of speech. So it is very important to discuss with you. And now I am going to discuss it with you. First, I am going to share my screen. And the screen share is visible to all of you. Say yes or no.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, visible.
Okay,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you. Okay, thank you. Now I am going to discuss what is figures of speech and types of figures of speech. A figure of speech, देखो first definition of figure of speech given there. Second, the types of figures of speech given there. The figures of speech is a deviation from the ordinary use of words in order to increase their effectiveness. Figures of speech used by the writer, used by the poet to create effectiveness of the word, means that to create effectiveness of the word, it is used by the poet, it is used by the writer in the poetry. And the figures of speech, different types of figures of speech are here. And the first and the most important figure of speech in our English literature is simile, and second one is metaphor. I think you all know very well about it. You all are extremely familiar with it. Yes, am I right? My
Yes.
dear 26 participants, do you know
Yes,
what
sir.
is simile and metaphor? पता है? Now just go through the. Okay, Priyanshu, Sekhar, 12th A. And just go through the PPT. The first is simile. Simile and metaphor both are used in the sense of comparison. Simile and metaphor both are used in the sense of comparison in the poetry. Okay, and the simile is used to compare two unlike things. Is explicit comparison, and implicit comparison in metaphor. Two unlike things compared in, if it is compared in the poetry, called simile. Suppose take an example. Example is also given there. She is like a fairy. Like is simile there. If the sentence is used like, as like, or as, surely it is an example of simile. And if it is the comparison there without like or as like, here surely it is an example of metaphor. It is a simple trick to find out simile and metaphor. If a comparison is given there in the poetry with like or as like, is an example of simile. If a comparison is given there in the poetry without like or as like, is an example of metaphor. It's very simple to understand. And now next one is personification. Do you know what is personification? What is personification? Can anyone tell? Can anyone speak? What is
सर किसी भी चीज को सर जीवित शो करना सर
Yes.
सर किसी भी थिंग को लिविंग थिंग शो कराना सर किसी भी पोएम के अंदर सर या कहानी के अंदर
Better try to reply in English if you have. Otherwise, I will explain. Okay? Just listen. Personification is a figures of speech in which inanimate objects are being implied and personified like living or running object. Inanimate means non-living. Simply understand, just simply try to understand that non-living object is personified as living object is called personification. Non-living means, suppose that this duster is non-living object. If it is being personified as living object, it is an example of personification. If non-living object is being personified as living object is called personification. Okay. Suppose take an example. See the example. The dish ran away with the spoon. The dish is a non-living object. It can't possible to run away from one place to other place. Example is given there. The dish ran away with the spoon. Means this is running away with the spoon. Means the work is going on the dish. In the dish. And the dish ran away with the spoon. It is example given by the Blake. Blake is a great poet. And little sorrows sit and weep. Sorrow is also a non-living object. It is personified as living object. Weep and sit, it is used for the living object, not for non-living. Running is also used for living object, not for non-living. Here run is used for the this. This is non-living object. So it is an example of personification. Suppose one example, the mountain smiles. Mountain smiles. A mountain can't smile because mountain is non-living object. But here it is a personification in the line given there by the poet, the mountain smiles. It is an example of metaphor. The second, third, fourth one is metonymy. Metonymy. Metonymy is meant for change of name. Just a change of name is called metonymy. It is a substitute of the thing names for the thing meant. Suppose take an example. The pen is mightier than the sword. From the cradle to grave, from childhood to death. I have never read Milton. Metonymy means the change of name. Only just change of name is there. The pen is mightier than the sword. Here it is a comparison, and the pen is used. Pen is compared here with the sword. Which one is mightier then? Only it is the change of name. The work is same. And the apostrophe is the second name of personification. Apostrophe is also a type of personification, different second name of personification you can say. And hyperbole is the different one. Hyperbole. Hyperbole is a statement made by emphatic by overstatement. For example, virtues as the sense of the soul. Hyperbole is a statement made emphatic by overstatement. It is used to make emphatic the sentence or the words in the poetry or in the line. इसका यूज सिर्फ इसका यूज किसी भी सेंटेंस और वर्ड को इंफैटिक बनाने के लिए किया जाता है. सेंटेंस और वर्ड्स को इंफैटिक बनाने के लिए हाइपरबोल का यूज किया जाता है. वर्च्यूज एज द सेंस ऑफ द सोल. इट इज यूज्ड, virtue is used here as the sense of the soul by the writer. Synecdoche, understanding of one thing by means of another. Chalo, I am going to explain it also. Synecdoche, the figures of speech है. Just you will be encountered with this figure of speech in your poetry also. पोइट्री में आपको मिलेगा क्लास 12 के किसी न किसी पोइट्री में मिल जाएगा साइनेक्डोकी. साइनेक्डोकी इज द अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ वन थिंग बाय मींस ऑफ अनदर. आफ्टर दैट आई विल शेयर दिस पीपीटी विथ यू with the link of YouTube link in your group. And synecdoche is the understanding of one thing by means of another. मीन्स कोई एक चीज समझना है दूसरे की मीनिंग को लेकर के. जैसे किसी एक चीज का दो मीनिंग निकलता, double meaning. Here it is a part used to designate the whole or whole to designate a part. जैसे एक I have the viceroy, love the man and all hands crew at work. Synecdoche का मतलब होता है, meaning of the synecdoche is understanding चीज एक ही समझना, means of another मतलब एक चीज के दो मीनिंग होने. होल के मतलब छोटे पार्ट्स को लेकर के होल मीनिंग कंक्लूड करना और बड़े फुल मीनिंग से छोटे पार्ट्स को सेग्रीगेट करना। एनेक्डोटी फिगर्स ऑफ स्पीच में यूज होते हैं। ट्रांसफर्ड एपिथेट, इट इज ऑल्सो अ लिटिल बिट सिमिलर विथ पर्सोनिफिकेशन। अब क्या है कि ट्रांसफर्ड एपिथेट, ट्रांसफरेंस ऑफ एन ऑब्जेक्ट फ्रॉम अ पर्सन टू अ थिंग, फ्रॉम अ पर्सन टू अ थिंग, मतलब किसी ऑब्जेक्ट का ट्रांसपेरेंस होना। फ्रॉम अ पर्सन टू अ थिंग मींस ऑब्जेक्टिव रिटन देयर। ट्रांसफर्ड epithet that qualifying objective is transferred from a person to a thing, as in phrases, as in words, as in sentence. For example, sleepless night. Night couldn't be sleepless, but sleepless night for a man. Sleepless night man के लिए हो सकता है, night sleepless नहीं हो सकती। ठीक है। Sunburned mirth, melodious plain. Plain couldn't be melodious and melodious couldn't be plain. Means, suppose that, take an example, I am going to give an example. A man lay all night on his sleepless pillow. A man lay all night on his sleepless pillow. एक इंसान पूरी रात तकिए पे जगा हुआ रहा। स्लीपलेस पिलो कह रहा है, पिलो स्लीपलेस नहीं है, स्लीपलेस मैन है। एक ऑब्जेक्ट का ट्रांसपेरेंस फ्रॉम अ पर्सन टू अ थिंग होना, दिस इज कॉल्ड ट्रांसफर्ड एपिथेट। Irony or sarcasm, I think, explain it to you in a very first chapter. I have explained irony to you. Can anyone tell me what is irony? Can anyone tell me in the from the class 12th A or 12th B what is irony? Irony, you have already gone through this word in class 10. First chapter in class 10, it is explained to you, I think, by your teacher. The first chapter, a letter to God. A letter to God. In class 10, the first chapter, irony explained there. Now, anyone from the class tell me what is irony? No, it is written there, just see it. In this mode of a speech, the real meaning of the words used are different from the intended meaning. Means the real meaning and the reality is completely different from the written or explained meaning. Means बोले गए meaning से reality complete different होना, this is called irony, this is called sarcasm. The child of cobbler has no shoe. The real meaning is something different that has in comparison to the intended words, intended sentence meaning. Suppose a statement has been written by the Lencho in the letter, the post office persons are the bunch of crooks, so you will not send me the money through post office. And the reality was there, the post office persons helped them and they donated money to maintain the faith of Lencho in God. They donated the money and they donated some part of his salary and collected 70 pesos and sent them through the envelope. And after that, he had composed one more letter to the God, and he has written in the letter, the post office persons are the bunch of crooks, so will not send the money through post office to me. According to his opinion, the post office persons are not good. But the reality was different. The post office persons helped him with 70 pesos to the Lancho because they didn't shake the faith of Lancho in God. This is irony. Antithesis is one, this one is the important, and I think you will encounter with this figure of speech in your book, in your syllabus. Antithesis is striking opposition or contrast of words. Contrast means the difference. Contrast of words is made in the same sentence in order to secure emphasis. It is used to create emphasis in order to create contrast. To err is human, to forgive divine. Here it is the contrast in the sentence. To err is human, to forgive divine. मीन्स ह्यूमन से एरर होते हैं तो डिवाइन माफ करना भी वो फॉरगिव माफ करना भी डिवाइन होता है, दैविक होता है. द टू थिंग्स आर रिटन, द टू डिफरेंट थिंग्स आर रिटन इन वन सेंटेंस. इफ टू डिफरेंट थिंग्स, टू अपोजिट मीनिंग सेंटेंसेस, to opposite meaning part of the sentences written to opposite meaning part written in one sentence is called antithesis. Give every man thy ear, but few thy voice. The two different opposite contrast words, sentences written in a single sentence for one meaning. This is called antithesis. The same is in oxymoron. Oxymoron, darkness visible, which combines two contradictory, दो contradictory को एक साथ जोड़ करके same meaning के लिए explain करना, oxymoron होता है. Make haste slowly, haste or slowly both are written in the same. Darkness visible, both are written in the same. Loving hate, both are written in the same. This is called oxymoron. And the litost is used for the figures of speech started with the affirmative, started with a negative sentence. Negative comment, he is no dullard, I am not a little, he is not a bad man, not a sword. Exclamation, it is used for a strong expression of feelings. And these figures of speech you will encounter only in drama. If you will go through the drama, you will get the encounter with this figures of speech, exclamation. It is used for a strong expression of feelings. Feelings के expression को strongly express करने के लिए exclamation का use किया जाता है. For example, oh lift me as a wave, a leaf, a cloud, I fall upon the thorns of life, I bleed. It is the line of John Keats's poetry. John Keats's poetry. The wind. The wind, John Keats poetry का ये line है. Oh lift me as a wave, a leaf, cloud, I fall upon the thorns of life. ये strong expression और feelings को express करने के लिए कि poet used these words to express their strong feelings with the help of line in the poetry. I bleed, sign of exclamation at last में. Means I am in problem, I am in dungeon. So lift me as a wave, as a cloud, as a leaf. मुझे इस problem से बाहर निकालो, lift me. Here it is the strong expression of the poet used to express his feeling. Yes, alliteration. I think you all know very well what is alliteration. Alliteration कोई बताओगे? Anyone tell me what is alliteration?
Alliteration means alankar, sir.
Yes.
Repetition of same letter.
Yes.
Sir,
Repetition.
alliteration means
Yes. Repetition. Repetition of the same letter or syllable in the beginning of two or more words called alliteration. Called alliteration. Suppose take an example. By apt alliterations artful of. It's glittering through the gloomy days. The furrow follows. FF same sound alphabet. GZ same sound alphabet. A and A same sound and alphabet. Repetition of the same letter, same sound, same alphabet, same syllable in the beginning of two or more words is called alliteration. Onomatopoeia is a figures of a speech is used to express the sound, and echo of the birds, animals and others. Onomatopoeia एक figures of speech है, इसका इस्तेमाल the use in the poetry सब sound को represent करने के लिए किया जाता है. If it is a sound, if we are talking about the sound of bird, if we are talking about the sound of animal, if you are talking about the sound of things, if you are talking about the sound of pen, the different sounds and echoes, if it is represented in the poetry, explained in the poetry, that figure of a speech is called onomatopoeia. टोटोलॉजी की मीनिंग होती है रिपीटिशन. एक ही वर्ड्स और एक ही सेंटेंस को बार बार रिपीट किया जाए, वही टोटोलॉजी हो जाती है. And here it is a little bit about the figures of speech, something. And now I am going to ask few questions to you after the class. Total 25 participants are here in my class. Total 25 participants. Can anyone explain simile and metaphor both in one term? Both in one term, in one sentence, in one example. Anyone from the class? Simile and metaphor.
Comparison.
Sir, he is lion. He is like lion in the war, and he is.
Yes. The simile implicit comparison is called is simile, and explicit comparison is called metaphor. If the comparison is there with like or as like is called simile, and if a comparison is there without like or as like is called metaphor. Okay. Direct comparison in metaphor or indirect comparison in simile. Suppose take an example. He plays like Sachin Tendulkar on the ground. It is an example of simile. If I say he is the Sachin Tendulkar of football, it is an example of metaphor. The different thing.
So
Okay.
Sachin Tendulkar is player of football.
Yes. Suppose just I am going to repeat the example. Listen it. I am going to repeat it. He plays
Okay, sir.
like Sachin Tendulkar. He played like Sachin Tendulkar on the ground. Is an example of simile. And he is the Sachin Tendulkar of football. Here it is the comparison. Don't think about that cricket. He is the Sachin Tendulkar of football. Is an example of metaphor. Means direct comparison in metaphor. Indirect comparison is in simile. Okay. Personification is a very important figure of speech. You must know about it. Apostrophe, personification, hyperbole, exaggeration, alliteration.
Sir, what is enjambment?
Yes.
Sir, what is enjambment?
Enjambment. I have explained in my class also. What is enjambment? If the continuous one or two lines of the poetry having without any punctuation is called an example of enjambment. If a continuous line of the poetry, even if 1, 2, 3, 4 is used by the poet, is used by the writer without any punctuation, no comma, no colon, no semicolon, no hyphen, no dash, without any punctuation, and at last full stop is used, is called an example of enjambment. मतलब कंटिन्यूअस 2-3 लाइन में कोई पंक्चुएशन यूज ना हो, लास्ट में फुल स्टॉप हो, वही enjambment. Okay. And any more question?
Sir, what is consonance?